President-elect Bola Tinubu, APC National Chairman Adamu hold closed-door meeting in Abuja. Court dismisses Binani's suit against INEC in Adamawa governorship election. APC, PDP demand reopening of Plateau Assembly. And also coming up on Politics HQ, President Cyril Ramaphosa, ANC clarifies stance on ICC. And Sudan's Omar al-Bashir moved to military hospital. Tonight in Politics HQ, we will be discussing the cost of governance in Nigeria with a focus on the proposed life pension bill for former state governors across the country. We'll also be looking at the ongoing crisis rocking the Labour Party and alleged anti-party activities by some members of the party. My guests tonight are Barrister Monday Ubani, a legal practitioner, and Dr. Catch Ononuju, a special advisor to Peter Obi on public affairs. Stay with us. Politics HQ. We'll be right back. Now, pension poverty in Nigeria is not a myth. As you may sometimes imagine, pensioners in many states in Nigeria are struggling to survive. Protests are common and complaints are endless. Yet, a recent bill proposed for governors has not only come as a surprise, but it's causing reactions from Nigerians. Many Nigerians currently experience what has been tagged multidimensional poverty, and performances of different state governors have also come under criticism. But astonishingly, there are considerations around giving former state governors in Nigeria life pensions as proposed by the Benue State government. We would unpack the workability of that, its impact on Nigerians, and what it entails. And joining me to make sense of all of this is Barrister Monday Ubani, a legal practitioner, joins us on Politics Headquarters today. A warm welcome to you, Barrister Ubani, and thanks for joining me on this very important conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I'm having a problem with good deal. If we can be upon, I will be very grateful. But I know you just made an overview of what is presently playing out in Benue, where I understand that the governor has sent a bill to the State House of Assembly in order to make provision for his pension when he retires as the current governor of Benue State. And we know that this is a practice that started in Lagos State under the former governor of Lagos State, and that is the present president-elect in the person of Bola Tinubu. He was the first former governor to have initiated such a process in which a bill was passed into law, granting him so many things in terms of perks of office when he leaves office. Getting a house in Lagos, getting a house in Abuja, being given cars at interval, maybe a period of 3 years interval, security apparatus, and so many other things that had been lined up, which he has been enjoying since he left office as a governor. So immediately that happened, other state governors followed suit by ensuring that before they leave office, they will enact a law, sign law, it turned into law, where so many of these things I've mentioned are made available to, including medical, both local and abroad. Mm-hmm. These are the kind of things that they have been doing these. We thought that now we end with the last dispensation. So we are surprised that under this new dispensation, that Dr. himself, who allegedly is owing salaries and pensions, one now making a provision that is so elaborate for himself when he retires. So I don't know where that will take us to, but I'm very happy that somebody has gone to court in order to challenge such act, whether it is permissible under our constitution for a State House of Assembly to now begin to legislate the pensions of governors who are retired. And so it is something that is subject. So the court will be in a position to look at that law that is coming into effect and see whether that law can be justified under a democratic society.
Now, Barrister Ubani, over 40 billion naira has been reportedly paid to 47 former governors from 21 of the 36 states in pensions and provision of houses, staff and motor vehicle replacement between 3 and 4 years. My question to you is this: what is so peculiar about the job of a governor that warrants such huge pensions?
I didn't get the question again. I'm having problem with the audio of this particular program. Can you repeat that question, my brother?
Okay, I believe it's network connectivity. I said over 40 billion naira has been reportedly spent to 47 former governors from 21 of the 36 states in pensions and provision of houses, staff and motor vehicles replaceable between 3 and 4 years. My question to you, Barrister Ubani, is this: what is it about the nature of the job of a governor that warrants such huge pensions? Is it such a difficult job that after 8 years in office, they deserve this huge packages and pensions?
Let me say this. The Physical Commission, that is a particular body that is enacted under the Constitution that actually fixes the salaries and remuneration of public officers.
Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal, yes.
Mobilization, beautiful remuneration, commission. Now that is an agency that is in charge of fixing their salaries and allowances, and they are being paid while working as governor. And of course, if you are a governor, there are so many other things that come into play in terms of perks of office you enjoy while working there as a governor. So it will be very clearly inimical, especially when you consider the economic implication of such sums, for a state governor who has retired, while some of the civil servants that have been working for years have not been paid, you now allocate such humongous amount of money to yourself. So I don't see what they have done that have warranted such provision that has been made over time by some of the governors. There is no justification whatsoever. Because if you become a governor today, as I speak to you, you're already a self-made man. You're already a multi-billionaire. There are so many things that come to you while in the office. There are so many things you have access to while in the office. So why would you put a precarious state, into more negative position when you are leaving office by allocating and ensuring that good sums of money is going to be paid to you, including cars, allowances, workers, security, cars, medical expenses, all for one man, because you were opportune to govern a state. I don't think there is any justification. I don't think it's a result of any hard work they are putting. It's a result of any hardship they are going through as a governor, because it's a public space. You have the one who went through the process of campaigning to be a governor, and that opportunity was given to you to serve. And you have enjoyed all the perks of office while serving. Why are you now doing this to the state, putting it in a more precarious situation when you are living, so that every year such humongous amount of money can be used to pay salaries of workers, that should have been used to pay gratuity and pension of workers, that should have been used to develop some of the basic infrastructures, are now daily, monthly, or yearly being now made available to somebody who has been opportune to serve a state. I don't think there's any justification, my brother, for such a way of wasting scarce resources of the states.
I mean, like you hit the nail on the head. No justification looking at the present socio-economic situation of some of these states. Now, recently, the governor-elect of Benue State, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, said this bill that has passed its first reading, that is proposed by Governor Orton, this pension bill, is only seeking to serve the interest of the outgoing governor. What do you make of this trend and Father Alia's statement, knowing that he could also be a beneficiary of this big largesse when he leaves office?
The truth of the matter is, a man does not understand the precarious state of the economy of the state in which he is going to assume And so it's very important that he cries out at this juncture in order to raise alarm that this is not right. He's coming in order to probably give good governance. He's coming in because he has made promises to the electorate, and they're looking forward to the promises he's made for him to fulfill. And now a state governor is on his way out is making provisions that every year this humongous amount of money that should have been used for him to develop, the state is going to go out. Look, I agree that he also be a beneficiary, but for God's sake, not everyone will want such a wastage, even if you are going to be a beneficiary. He may have a very genuine intention to give good governance, and he requires the resources to do just that. And if the resources are not so much, and you are now putting him in a precarious position, he will run into a problem, when comes in and does not have the enough resource to fulfill all the electoral promises he has made and all that. So I don't think the man has done any wrong thing by saying, look, this is absolutely wrong. Even though I'm going to be a beneficiary of this, the right thing must be done. So to me, it's kudos to him. He's somebody that we should actually praise, and commend for taking such a practical step in saying that he would not allow such to happen, even though he is a possible beneficiary of such a humongous amount when he leaves office.
Yes. Now, Barrister Ubani, let's focus on the state houses of assembly, the state assembly, because regardless of what we say, if this bill is passed into law, it's legal and within the ambit of the law. But when we vote for our representatives, they go into the State House of Assembly, and it's almost like a rubber stamp. They do anything the executive wants them to do. How can we put more scrutiny into the State Houses of Assembly and allow them to do their function of oversight? Because these members of the Benue State House of Assembly do understand the precarious nature of the finances of the state. But most times, not just Benue, states that have passed these bogus pension bills, it goes ahead, they pass it with little or no opposition. Do you see a sort of quid pro quo going on between the executive and the legislative arms of this state? And why would they go ahead and just pass this, looking at the reality of their constituents and the nature, the socio-economic nature of the country?
The reality is that most times the governors are interested who become a speaker of the State House of Assembly, and then want to put the speaker and the entire house under his wrappers. And most times also, because of the lack of independence of the State House of Assembly, they go cap in hand begging for finance in order to run the operations of the house. They run into a problem in becoming psychophant to the governors. But recently, President Buhari signed into law an amendment of the Constitution that have now guaranteed the independence of the State House of Assembly. So I believe by now, the State House of Assembly all over the Federation under this new arrangement will have to be very more independent and try to do the right thing by holding those governors accountable and carry out the issue of checks and balances that the Constitution has actually entrusted upon them. I don't know what is the state and status of the House of Assembly in Benue. They have denied the existence of that particular bill before them presently. They have said they don't see any, they have not seen any such bill. So I don't think they may want to be foolish enough to pass such a bill at this juncture, knowing fully well that the new government is coming in. And Otom himself did not perform excellently well while he was there as a governor, and he's owing salaries and allowances. So why would they now want to reward him for somebody who has owed salaries and allowances for many, many years, and he will now be certain of his own salary, his own pension when he leaves office? I don't think the House will oblige him. But as I said earlier, somebody has gone to court to challenge this law, and we want to see the outcome of that particular judicial intervention and see whether the court will agree that the House has a right to pass such a law that they don't have any concurrent jurisdiction to, because there is no concurrent provision. It's clearly exclusive. Yes. And I have told you before, there is a particular agency in charge of fixing salaries and allowances, including the pensions of governors, whether it is right for them to do that. The law will come into play when the court looks into that particular law, that is about to be passed, and know whether they allow it to come to reality or not. So it is something that we are going to watch to see how the House will react. Whether they will be lethargic and whether they will be so psychopathic in order to ensure that they pass the law for a governor that is on his way out and who has been owing salaries and allowances. So we'll watch and see what will actually be of the judicial process and intervention of the House in the matter.
Now, Barrister Ubani, they always say the devil is in the detail, and some might be wondering what's the big deal. It's just the pension. But let's get into the detail. I might not be able to reel out everything, just highlights of this draft bill that has been seen. It indicates that Section 2, subsection A1, makes provision for the payment to the former governor of a monthly stipend equivalent to the salary of a sitting governor. That's one. It also makes provisions for the payment to all former deputy governors of a monthly stipend equivalent to the salary of a sitting deputy governor. Similarly, Section 2, subsection B, provides for the building of a permanent residential accommodation in any town of their choice in Nigeria. There's also provision for 4 new cars every 4 years for the former governors and 2 new cars every 4 years for the former deputy governors. The cars shall be serviced and maintained. There's also provision for 6 personal staff. There's medical, there's also provision for medical and all of that. I mean, the list is endless. And there's also a retroactive nature to this bill. What do you make of this? And is there any way the ordinary people of Benue State, is it beyond them? Is there any way they can protest this and prevent their representatives from, passing it into law since it has passed the first reading?
Yeah, what we are saying is an intelligent question. Now, the Benue people has a right to react. Whether they will allow such a bill to be passed that will give the governor such humongous amount that he'll be collecting at the end of every year. And you can see the things we have listed. And that has been the pattern, with all the state governors' bill they have sent in order to make provision for their pension and allowances and gratuity. The amount of things they provide for themselves is out of this world. By the time you pay that within a year, it takes a toll on the treasury of the state. Mm-hmm. As for Benue State people, they know what they have passed through in terms of misgovernance for 8 years that Autumn has been in power. So if they desire that this bill be passed and they want to allow it, it is left for them. But if they don't want it, they have a right to protest. They have a right to go to and besiege that assembly and say, we can use this law. And if they do that, and I think the people who are there are representatives of the people, so they must listen to the voices of the people. So I think that the best thing for them to do at this juncture, if at all he has passed first reading, is for them to take a more proactive action by besieging the House and insisting that that law must not see the light of the day, that it will be clearly injurious to the economy of this particular bill is allowed to be passed. Because that amount of money being taken out every year in order to service one individual who had the great opportunity to govern the state, will clearly be very injurious to the treasury of the state. So I think the Benin people have a choice, whether they want to allow that law to become a reality or whether they will make sure that they stop it and ensure that the House does not in any way pass that particular bill into law, so that it becomes something that other states will begin to emulate. Well, as I said earlier, somebody is in court over it. But in addition to the court action, challenging the enactment of that law, I think the people have a right to actually protest and say that that law must not be allowed to see the light of the day. And if the people who are there are really the true representatives of the people, they must listen to the voice of the people. So the majority have a right to say no to the passage of that bill.
Now, Barrister Ubani, how does this bill reflect the broader issues of corruption and lack of accountability in Nigerian politics?
Say it again.
How does this bill reflect the broader issues of corruption and lack of accountability in Nigerian politics? Because it seems these lawmakers are living in a different reality.
Yeah, the reality is that our public officers, those who seek power, most times are not going to government in order to serve the people. What they do most times is that they have intention of going to loot the treasury and then ensure that they allocate obscene amount of money for themselves, their families, and their cronies. There is no sense of accountability. There is no sense of responsibility. There is no sense of being sensitive to the needs and aspirations of the people. The issue of welfare, general welfare of people, or even security of lives and properties is never, their common priority. It's been on. And if you see what happened from 1999 to date, you will agree with me that Nigeria has not really enjoyed what democracy brings in other nations, in other developed nations. What it has brought has been retardation, has been punishment, has been, all manner of things that has kept the people backwards. And so that is the reality. So I am of the opinion that in the light of what has happened with this bill, even under this new dispensation, it goes to speak volumes about those who actually govern us. That it's all about themselves, about their interests, and that is what they actually go to serve when they get into office. So the best thing to do in the circumstance is to probably make the people to be aware of what they can do. And the power lies in them to take some practical steps in order to ensure that such thing does not happen.
Okay.
Such things do not happen. And then in also electing leaders, we must ensure that the kind of recruitment process that will bring the kind of leaders that will take us where we're supposed to be is fair and free and credible. Because it's only free process that can bring leaders that will always come to show some level of accountability and being sensitive to the yearnings of the people. But when the process is not free and fair, it enthrones people that have no regard to our interests. And that is what you see. There is lack of accountability, there is corruption, there is selfishness on the part of leadership. And they have no intention to give the people the issue of dividends of democracy. It is misgovernance all the way, punishment and hardship. And that is what they have always made a fundamental objective of state policy. So I think we must be careful in whom we elect. We must also ensure that the process that produces leaders in the country is very transparent and free and credible. And then we must hold them accountable by ensuring that they don't do the wrong thing. And that's why I say that Benue State people have a right to rise up and say that this bill must not be allowed to see the light of the day by going and besieging the House and say, on no account should this bill be passed. And when they see that the people that have elected them are not allowing that bill to see the light of the day, I can assure you that the House will budge and will not allow this bill to be passed into law, let alone being signed into law.
A fine place to end the conversation. Thank you very much, Barrister Ubani, for joining us on PHQ. I do appreciate your time, your insights, and your valuable contribution.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much for having me.